All right, so our next president is Harry S. Truman. He served from 1945 until 1953. He was the 33rd president of the United States. He was actually the vice president under FDR, but FDR died while he was in office, so Truman now became president. The first crisis that Truman faced as president was the atomic bombs. He was never informed by FDR of the atomic bombs, and so as soon as he got into office, he was faced with the decision of using the atomic bombs or trying an invasion of mainland China. So he opted to use the atomic bombs. After the war ended, he implemented the Marshall Plan. The Marshall Plan sent roughly $13 billion to Europe to help with the reconstruction after it had been devastated during World War II.
Okay, also just kind of a subunit of the Marshall Plan was this was the Truman Doctrine, and the fact that Truman had this stance that if a democratic ally around the world was threatened by a communist nation, then they would step in the U.S. And contain that area. So he was really tested with the Korean War because he had showed that he was tough on communism when North Korea invaded South Korea. One of the big things he did also was he desegregated the army. He was, took the first steps to as far as people as far as LBJ who were further along those claims. And when he was going home, he left office in 1953, and he was at the train stop, and nobody picked him up. His approval rating was around 25%, and he was, as far as leaving office, he didn't have a high approval rating at all. And now, when people look back at him, he is one of the most beloved presidents in U.S. history.
All right, so now we're going to grade Harry Truman. Lee, what would you give him?
I would give him a B because I think overall he handled situation in a right way. I don't support the whole atomic bombs and threatening the others, but even though he was not elected again, I don't think that really affects him. I think his decisions were more effective on a long term.
Broadwater?
I would give him an A+ because I think that he was one of the most decisive presidents we've ever had. I loved the idea of desegregating the army, about how he made the choice to drop the atomic bomb. That could not have been an easy choice, and I guarantee that he would still stand by that today. And the Marshall Plan, I thought, was a great idea to help Europe.
All right, I would give him a B+. I think that he was a very decisive president. And although people may not agree with his dropping of the atomic bombs, he had to make a decision, and he stuck with his decision even though it cost him popularity later. All right, Tate?
I'd give him an A-. I think the Truman Doctrine, I really like that, pumping money and the Marshall Plan, pumping money across the world to helping these war-torn nations. And another thing, I would have given him an A, solid A or an A+, but I think that he should take some of the rap for the Chinese Civil War, not being able to. He should take some of that rap for China going communist, and the fact that sometimes he said, that he was going to contain, but as you saw in China, he, I think.
Mr. Rainier?
I'll give him a B+. I like the way he handled things. He definitely was, good decision maker. Such a difference in how he handled communism versus Roosevelt. He kind of is a cause of the Cold War. I think he maybe had a different policy, then maybe that wouldn't have happened. But he's good at making decisions.
All right, Nick?
I give him a B+ because of his great decisions in dropping the bombs, the economic plans, and his amazing catchphrase, "The buck stops here."
Jim-Marie?
I would definitely give him an
Why?
A. Because I thought he was very decisive and he would still stick with his decisions. He had many plans that he followed through with, and I think that's important.
And now we're going to give him a final grade.
Oh.
All right, so overall, we give Harry Truman
You can get it on.
an A-.